Hello, good morning, everyone. And first of all, a very happy Diwali to all of you. I'm so excited to have all these people who are highly dedicated to give their time, including Kalpana Fellows today on this day. Even if it is the day after Diwali, I know how busy you all are. So to start with, I would like to brief some about Kalpana program, and then we will go ahead with our today's speaker. So, Vigyanshala's Kalpana, it aims to reimagine STEM with enhanced participation of women by equipping girls with tools to explore broader possibilities in STEM careers in particular. We are envisioning to create a self-sustaining and uplifting community of women in STEM who can support each other. This immersive mentoring and professional development program, it has been designed by women in STEM professions from leading global universities. The program has three major aspects. The first aspect focuses on the fresh take of Kalpana, on mentoring, where we have funneled the real life experiences of incredible professional women in STEM, equip our girls with the requisite tools of personal and professional development. The second aspect of Kalpana, it focuses on bringing STEM leaders, innovators, entrepreneurs, and scientists in interactive discussions to encourage girls to reimagine wider possibilities in STEM careers. The third aspect is to bring powerful personal stories from STEM leaders and providing the Kalpana network as a support for continuous growth, motivation, and encouragement. I would also like to thank our collaborators, Udyan Shalini Fellowship Program of Udyan Care, which is a Delhi-based NGO. Its Shalini Fellowship is working towards empowering young girls with higher quality education. Today, in this panel discussion, we will be discussing more about communicating science and building communities with Doreen and Shaima Zaman Ahmed. With the thorough understanding of importance of communication skills in the 21st century and the power of netiquettes in building your own brand using social media, I'm confident that Kalpana Fellows are ready to learn more about the same from our amazing speakers today. Without any delay, I would like to introduce our first speaker of the day, Dr. Doreen Anene. She is a third year PhD, soon to be doctor, at the University of Nottingham. Her research encompasses animal husbandry, biochemistry, and molecular microbiology. She is a recipient of the prestigious Schlumberger Faculty for the Future Awards and received travel awards from Australia, EGG, to support her scholarly activities as a visiting scholar at the Poultry Research Foundation within the University of Sydney, Australia. She has interest in global food security and hopes to lead a career in livestock research for international development. Doreen is dedicated representative for women in science from different countries. She is the founder of the STEM Belle, a female and youth initiative that is stimulating the interest of schoolgirls towards science subjects and disciplines. Her objective Her objective is to close the gender gap in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields where girls are underrepresented. As a STEM education advocate, she believes that women and girls can be everything, elegant, delators, and confident in roles. Her work to recalibrate the female representation in STEM fields has been recognized by Nature Research and Estée Lauder, where she was named the 2019 Innovative Woman in Science. Her host institution, University of Nottingham, has featured her outstanding research outreach activities in 2020. Doreen, a Young African Leaders Initiative alumni and a UN Women Global Champion for Change, is inspired by Michelle Obama's words to young people to get a good education and then use the education to create a country worthy of their boundless promise. This is so wonderful, and I'm actually inspired by you, Doreen. So now I give the stage to you. Over to you, Doreen. Please start.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. And good morning, everyone, from the very beautiful city and cold city of Nottingham. And happy Diwali to everyone as well. My name is Doreen, and yes, I am heavily inspired by those words from Michelle Obama. And since I heard it from her, it's kept me going, and I hope to keep going. This morning, I'm just going to be sharing on communicating science and building communities. I'm trying to share my screen. I know that's a buzzword we've been hearing throughout the year. Please hear it from me one more time. Just a moment.
Take your time.
Yeah, this is it.
We can see.
Not sure you're seeing the right screen. I'll see. Just 1 second, I'm sorry. Hold on for me, please. Hold on for me.
No problem, Doreen. Just pull it.
I'm trying to share this. I'm trying to present it. Oh, what's happening? Okay, I think this should be it now. Screen confused, which is to be shared. Which screen can you see now, please?
It is still opening. Yes, I can see your presentation, communicating science and the building communities.
Okay, can you see clearly?
Yes, I can see clearly everything.
Thank you very much. All right, I'll just go back in. I think I have 15 minutes to talk, correct?
Yes.
Lovely. So first, again, I'm going to have to thank the management and the leadership of Vigyashala International for this very, very prestigious honor. I'm grateful. Thank you for inviting me to this Kaplana platform. I'm looking forward to learning, sharing, and very importantly, networking with as many as possible that's here. So this morning, I'll be sharing on communicating science and building communities. My name is Doreen, as she has mentioned, and I'm a PhD researcher at the University of Nottingham and the founder of the STEM Belle. So before I go into my presentation, let me just tell you 4 things about me. Hopefully you get to know me and I get to know you as well. So first, I'm Nigerian. I don't know if you could tell from my accent, but I come from Nigeria. I have lived in 4 countries across the world. I currently live in the UK. I've lived in Australia. Of course, I'm Nigerian. I spent most of my growing years in Nigeria, and I lived in Ghana as well. Now, to me, impossible is nothing. I absolutely believe in myself. And I love spicy food. I guess that's why I really love Indian food. Like, I really love spicy food. So now I'll share my career path with you, so you have an idea of where I'm coming from, and hopefully we can relate a lot better. So my whole science journey started in 2005 when I joined science classes in secondary school. Just a pointer here, this is very important. This stage is very important. It's important to ensure that people have an idea of science, especially at this stage. And people get to join science classes at this stage because it could be life-defining. So when I graduated from senior secondary school, I had a bachelor's degree in animal science at Belle University in Nigeria. I then progressed to do a master's degree at the University of Ghana. I traveled to Ghana for this. Now, sometime into my master's degree, I founded my organization called the STEM Bell. All the STEM Bell does is to attract and retain girls from low-income communities into STEM fields. Sometime just before I wrapped up my time in Ghana, I got into the Schlumberger faculty for the Future Foundation, which has been very life-defining and changing for me. And it's that platform that I got to meet Dr. Dashana. And then in December, I started my PhD at the University of Nottingham. Along the line, I had to travel to Australia to do some research work and all of that. And from that time till now, I've picked up a number of roles around communication, around policy, around livestock consulting. And the journey is continuing. One of my goals is to become an authority in livestock research and development, but we'll see how that unfolds as time goes on. So that's just a bit about me on the personal side and with my science journey. Now getting into science communication. I just want to put out some interesting facts about science communication. The first is that it is one thing to do science and an entirely different thing to communicate science. So most times we researchers, scientists, get very engrossed, very into doing science. But then we're doing science for the public. We're doing science to address public health issues or to address medical issues. So we need to communicate beyond scientific papers and scientific reports. We need to communicate to the users and the beneficiaries, the end users of these science that we do. So these are two different worlds entirely, right? Now, it is a full-blown career. You can develop a full-blown career out of communicating science to the public, and you can make a lot of money from it. So for all the undergrad students or the young people, you could cash out a lot from science communication. So it's not just talking about science, there's money in it. Now, the interesting bit is that it has not been fully explored. Scientists are just most scientists are just hardcore scientists, and they just want to do science, and do science, which is fantastic. But there's not so many people who is breaking down the science for people to understand. So it's not been fully explored. So there's a chance, there's a niche there you can carve for yourself. Next is that science communication is a very powerful tool if you want to build communities, if you want to get more people into STEM, if you want people to appreciate the things that go on behind the scene in wet labs, on farms, behind studies. It's a very, very good tool. And then, of course, the world needs more science communicators. Think about what happened the past few months during the pandemic, and there was all kinds of information about COVID-19 flying around. If we had loads and enough science communicators, this would be very helpful because fake news would have been slashed into, to the barest minimum. So the world needs more science communicators, especially at such a time as this. But then what's science communication? I've just put out this very mashed definition, right? So it is talking about science. So you actually have to talk about it. You have to demonstrate it. You have to communicate it, right? To non-experts. Non-experts in this case could be a fellow scientist who is not in your field. Non-experts can be a layman, non-experts can be your granny, non-experts can be your 4-year-old, to someone who didn't do that science with you. And the aim is to close the gap between the science group or the science world and then the general non-science public, right? And then there are 3 reasons why we need to communicate science. One is to bridge the gap. Second is that when you bridge the gap and you've communicated properly, you want to spur their interest. You want to get them interested in what you have done, right? And then you want them to see the relevance of what you have done, how it impacts them. And ultimately, you want to build a community. You want to get them involved in your science, right? So take a look at this screen. And you see the different ways a researcher, a scientist thinks, and then the different way a layman thinks, right? So a scientist is thinking the background, the methodologies, the results and conclusions. So the background, he wants to know what has been done before. Where did the problem stem from? How, for the methods, he's thinking about, modern ways to optimize science to achieve that goal or to solve that problem. And for the results, she just wants to, or he or she just wants to churn out results and send to a publisher and let it be known that he has created this pathway or he has effected this model or something, right? But which is very good and excellent. But then the layman or someone in the public is wondering, okay, how does this affect me? I've been living my life, right? How does this affect me? Now, if you're able to speak, if you're able to communicate science to a layman in the public, from how does this affect me, that layman begins to ask, what can I do to help? Can I get more people so you speak to? How can I help you to propagate this message you have told me? And if you're able to get them to do this, the next thing is you're getting them to join your community. They're asking you, what can I do how can I join you to do more science? Can I put my money down to support you as the CSR? Can I raise my voice, as an advocacy group? Can I get more young people if the person is old? So you see that mix. You see why it's really important, for us to bridge the gap between scientists and the general public. So this quote really struck me, and it was by the chief scientific advisor in the UK. And he says that science isn't finished until it is communicated. And I couldn't agree less. And I hope we see the usefulness of this quote at the end of this session generally. So now I'm just going to share with you some sectors which benefit from science communication and how they benefit. The first is business. So 4 sectors I highlighted here benefits is business, the government, the public, and academic. It's not restricted to this 4, but I'm just going to speak on this 4. So how businesses benefit from science communication is that when you communicate science to business leaders, you get them thinking, and then they start thinking of how to develop patents, how to develop products around your science, right? And, with time, you get increased support. So you get businesses that put out money for research, which is more money for science, right? You get businesses that are putting out money for corporate social responsibilities, advocacies, and all of that interesting stuff. The next bit is the government. Of course, the government needs science. Disregard the fact that Donald Trump was ignoring science for many months now, but the government needs science. They need them the science needs to be communicated to the government so they could shape policies, right? Make decisions. And then if it's properly communicated, they can understand that there is need for more money to be pumped into science. So it's really important. With the public, of course, you need to demystify stereotypes, especially with public perceptions, and you need to build communities, advocacy groups, young children or young adults who would get into science and be the next generation scientists. You need that information to be out to keep them informed and on their toes. And of course, with academics, when you communicate science, when you talk about your science to non-expert groups, you get collaborations, right? Someone might be doing a research in cancer, cancer research, but could attract someone else who is doing research in another field just by communicating cancer research, right? You also get like collaborations from other people. You get opportunities to do more research, basically. So it strengthens these 4 sectors. And there's others, of course, but I just stuck to this 4. So now, what are some personal benefits of science communication? The first will be that it boosts your personal profile. You go on Twitter and you have loads of people who are communicating science, who have benefited tangibly from talking about the work that they do or the challenges that they face in doing science or the opportunities they've come across with doing science, right? It enhances your career. This goes hand in hand with the first one, right? Because these days the world is going really global and digital. So most times people want to see what you're able to churn out, how you're able to decongest, academic registers into simple language, right? Or specialized registers into simple language. Next, it builds your network. Of course, you know that your network is your net worth. So imagine having a very solid network because you're communicating science. It opens the doors to so many opportunities for you. It increases your knowledge portfolio. Truth about it is that as you talk about it, you get more information, you get more engagement, you get more conversations going, and then you just know a lot more stuff. And then your work gets to be spread to so many people. My research is around equality, and because of the way I talk about equality, every time someone has an issue with eggs or isn't too sure about something, they always ask me. So my work has kind of been spread to people around me, even people who are not in science or doing egg research as well. And of course, it could earn you more money. Like I mentioned, it can be monetized. So the way you have social media influencers who influence brands for shoes, bags, drinks, and stuff. This is an opportunity. You could have social media. You could be a science influencer just because you're communicating science, and this could bring you more money, speaking opportunities and all that interesting stuff. So what are some channels of science communications? First is through your blog articles. So you could write you could decongest, say, a particular topic or a particular field of science you've done and publish it on your personal blog or on other people's blogs, right? And get them shared around the digital media space. Secondly, of course, is the typical scientific publishing. Of course, when you do science as a scientist, it's expected that you should share your knowledge, share your experience, share your methods, share your results. Now, take note that no result or a negative result is science. So you mustn't wait until all your means are statistically different before you share. Even if they are not, it's important that you write it up and publish it. Of course, small group discussions, when you sit with young people, elderly people in the community, have them over at the museums or somewhere small at the parks and just talk about science, public health issues, how PCRs for COVID testing is done. It just gets their mind thinking to see what goes on behind the scene, right? Next is public speaking. Put together a group of people and actually try and talk about science to them on a big stage. Books. This is one very good way to get children, to understand how science works and, also spur their interest and get them interested. Okay, and the ultimate in this time and age is social media. The place and power of social media for science communication cannot be neglected. We can't overlook it. It's so important. It's so powerful. One tweet about authentic information of the science you have done can change the perception, attracts many more people to think about the science that is being done, and it just has a way, it's just magical. So do not neglect the place and power of social media when it comes to science communication, right? So some career opportunities for you in science communication. First of all, is science journalism. Some people are excellent wet lab researchers and, fantastic writers, not just scientific writers these days, but, writing about science with humor, with fiction, and all of that. So you could explore that as a career or as a side career if you want. You could become a book author, a children's book author, a columnist in a blog or in a newspaper, or with organizations that churn out publications and all of that stuff. You can, as I've mentioned before, become a scientific influencer and a brand influencer. It goes beyond influencing brands for shoes and perfumes and creams and all that. We could take this up in science as well. Of course, you could become a policy consultant, standing in and decongesting stuff for governments and complementary industries, of course. And then you could take up a lot of organizations these days are interested in paying it forward, sending down lighting ladders to get more people to raise the next generation of scientists. So you could get roles as, an outreach manager, just because you communicate science very well to, say, young children. You could get a role as an outreach manager, as a developer, a programs developer and that. And then, of course, you can become a social media handler and social media manager for top pages. You go on Twitter, you go on Instagram, almost every organization, almost every research lab is represented on social media. They need people to break down the science that they're doing for the general public. This could be you, right? So now when you're communicating science, just a couple of things that you should note. Use the storytelling approach. It's hard enough. Science is hard enough. You don't want to crack people's brain telling them about very abstract things. Use the storytelling approach. Use examples that people can relate to. Break it down as much as possible. Remember that is why you want to do it. You want to get more people who are not in that field into it. So use stories to tell them, to get them in. Now you need to keep it simple. We don't need the jargons. We've had all the immunosensitivity in the lab. We don't need to hear it again when you're communicating science to the layman, right? Remember that when you've written a science piece, you need someone like your grandmother needs to be able to read it and understand it. Someone like your 6-year-old or your 7-year-old needs to be able to read it and have an idea about what's being said. If they read the first line and they're tired, then you've probably not communicated it properly. Visualize as much as possible. There's power in pictures. When you put pictures out, when you put pictures of the cells, pictures of the egg, pictures of how things are forming and breaking down, it just has a way of getting them interested. Now, always have a call to action. At the end of your piece, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to go up and sign up for something, or do you want them to go over and read more on something? Do you want them to go and talk to their neighbor about it? Put out a call to action. It looks very cliche, but it's very powerful, right? Now, then keep it open for conversations, because science is meant to be critiqued. Science is meant to be argued, right? Science can develop. So keep it open for conversations. Besides, the young people that you're talking to have very imaginative ideas, and they could just be, the game changer for the show. So keep it open for people to contribute. So now, the next, I'm just going to share my take-home message, and it will be one. Like I mentioned before, don't just do science. Think about how to communicate science. Even while you're doing the science, think about how you're going to communicate science. After you have done the science, think about how you're going to communicate science to get as many people in. And then effective science communication can attract and retain people into, especially young girls, into STEM fields. And I'm going to wrap up with this. Ask yourself these questions. Can they see you? This is all in the spirit of building communities. Can they see you do your science? Can they hear you do your science? And can they read your thoughts about the science you've done? If they can, then there's a high possibility that they would be interested in what you're doing, and they would want to be you. They want to join you in science. Thank you very much for your time. Looks like I've gone way above 50 minutes. Thank you so much, and I would be happy to take your questions at the end of Dr. Shaeema's presentation. Thank you, and I'm very social, so we could connect on any of these social media platforms. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Doreen. I don't know why I'm echoing. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Doreen, for this wonderful session. Actually, you summarized all the internal sessions that we had, and you gave them the insights, what they can do in science communication in elaborative manner. And today we had this session where they were learning about how to use social media for their personal branding. And I think they can learn from you a lot when they can connect with you on these social media platforms that they have also got to know today.
Absolutely.
So I will bring you all the wonderful questions that are coming from our girls later on. Before that, I would like to invite our second speaker of the day, uh, Shaeema Zaman Ahmed. Shaima Zaman Ahmed is a PhD student in quantum measurement and manipulation group at Aarhus University, led by Professor Jacob Frisch-Scherson. She graduated in MSc Physics from University of Delhi, India, where she specialized in astrophysics. Currently, her primary research area is in the field of visualization and gamification of complex quantum control tasks. Shaima is also interested in investigating the use and impact of quantum games and simulation tools for research, education, and outreach. Together with our research team, together with her research team at Science at Home, Ars University, she have been working on a game called Quantum Moves 2, a game based on simulation of real atoms. With that said, I would like Shaima to elaborate further about her work. And over to you, Shaima. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Parthi. Yes, and I will just share my screen.
Sure.
And yes, you can see the PowerPoint, right? I'll just do it on.
Yes, I can see.
And I'll just swap this. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Hello, everyone. Again, happy Diwali, and I can imagine all the excitement now in India. I'm to be honest, I'm missing Diwali. So right now, I'm in Denmark, and I'm doing my PhD at this research group called Science at Home, and this research group is in Aarhus University in Denmark. Okay, so briefly, the outline of my talk. I think there's going to be a little bit of overlap between Doreen's talk and my talk, but so I'll take it slide by slide. And if it's already been touched by Doreen, then I'm going to sort of focus on something else. Okay, so to begin with, sort of the what, why, who, and how of science communication. In fact, I think it's just good practice if you start anything new or trying to learn something new, I think, to sort of break it down. I'll share my personal journey into science communication, how I got interested, what's been my experience so far. Then we'll do a really small science communication exercise. And then I'll share some career avenues as well, like how Doreen mentioned as well. Okay. Oh, and also, yeah, I think I also want to mention some courses and training that you can take up now at this point. There are a lot of courses available in different parts of India, so it's something that if you want to look into it, I would like to share some places where you could apply. Okay, so very quickly, science communication. I think you must have had workshops before, and now Doreen also explained, but I like this vowel analogy. We've already, and I think it sticks to you because you can just say A, E, I, O, U. And each of these things, what does A mean? Science communication means awareness, and you're making people aware about different aspects of science. E is enjoyment, so you can you appreciate science as something that you enjoy, or is also can be treated as art or entertainment. Interest, you communicate science so that you can get other people involved with you in science. This could be, again, within your scientific community or outside, with the public, with young students. Then opinions. O stands for opinions. So like Doreen mentioned about COVID-19. So now with climate change or COVID-19, you see there's like sometimes a difference in opinions about a particular attitude towards what we should do to not contribute towards climate change, or, for example, like that. So, and science communication can help in this to sort of bring about the right attitude. Like we're using the scientific approach. And U stands for understanding. Why is science important? Its content, what is involved when you do science, and also the social factors. So I like to sort of keep in mind this vowel analogy when you think about science communication. And then second question, okay, so you have science communication. Why is it important? You increase scientific literacy. Again, it's important to have a community that you don't have to be knowledgeable about like details in science or be an expert in a particular field, but at least have a overall literacy of why some things happen the way it does. And which also helps us to counter fake news, because there are a lot of conspiracy theories and fake news that come about, like, okay, oh, this is the earth is flat, for example. And to be able to debunk that, like if you have a certain level of knowledge about how things work and how things are, you're able to sort of argue and debate about that. Then, as Doreen mentioned, motivation to young students to join STEM careers. Like research shows that if you communicate science, you share your experiences, and that's how you get other people interested. Second, I think most importantly for women is when you communicate your research, other women also see you. It works as looking for someone who's like you in a field. So I think for me, that's really important, why science communication should be done. Researchers should talk about their research. And actually, if you, like Doreen mentioned, it's one thing to do research and it's one thing to communicate about their research. And most researchers or scientists or even PhD students, very few of them keep focus on this, because they mostly think, okay, research is the most important thing to be done. But it's important to mention, why is your research important and how is it making an impact? Then there are also some personal benefits, like it enhances your own skills. For example, writing. Every time I want to think about, okay, if I want to write a blog to communicate about something, I have to think about how to put it in context and how to highlight its importance and impact. Speaking also, it's and sort of I would list these sort of went too quick. Yes, these 4 primary skills and these skills also help you in any career you are. So even if you don't want to get into science communication, or if you're in another career, all these skills through science communication, it gets enhanced, that you can also use it for other careers. Okay, and now science communication. Who are you communicating with? Who are the players? Who are you including in this communication? Again, it's groups within the scientific community, and then it could be scientific community with the media, the public, government, policymakers, and students. So again, this was touched upon by Doreen, so I'll go a little bit quick here. Okay, so I made a list of what kind of science communication tools and activities one can design or have or use. So very quickly, I think I said, okay, so there are lots of groups that make videos. So they'll make videos where they break down a concept. Then there's postcards also. You can sort of send postcards to people, or you can have it on the wall, posters, flyers. A lot of people also make comic strips. These are very informal ways of communicating science. You make people aware. I use a lot of games and simulation tools. That's also because I'm doing my PhD using games. So I always try to see where I can apply it. There's, of course, blogs. There's infographics, which I really like. So you communicate something through pictures. So you have information through graphics, so like infographics. You can make exhibits. So if you go to a science museum, you have exhibits. And these are different activities, science exhibitions, quantum game cafe. I'll talk a little bit more about this. This is a new concept that I've tried it here, and I personally really like. And lab tours, if you're doing an experiment, it's always a good idea to give lab tour, and you can break down, what happens in the lab and why is this exciting in the lab. Science shows, this is quite popular. People who are doing chemistry, so then they can have shows with liquid nitrogen and dry ice, and it's a lot of fun. I personally really like science shows. Then there's hands-on sessions where you actually do some experiments with students. Science fairs, you can talks. There's also theater. So now there's this new field of science communication where you also mix science and art, where you mix theater, you can mix dance as well. Podcasts are also becoming really popular. So so this list insight into what you think would be your way to communicate science if you were asked to communicate. And then you can think about these tools and materials you could use or activities that you could be part of or even organize yourself. Yes, so the last one was book review. Yes, now a new thing also is there are lots of science books that come out. So people make videos of like, okay, this is the book I really like and this is what the book talks about. So you get other people to also read that book. And through reading that book, you get sort of informally introduced to different topics in science. Yes, so now my journey, I did my bachelor's in physics in Miranda House, University of Delhi. Then I continued again in university of Delhi, and I did my master's in physics. My specialization was astrophysics. But during my bachelor's and my master's, I think I was always fond of science communication. I would participate in like science fairs or exhibitions. I didn't do much myself, but I think I would participate in other places just to see what was happening. And then I started working here. This company is in New Delhi. It's a science communication company, and they have astronomy clubs and they organize science festivals. So I started working here, and I think my true science communication journey started from Z-Life Education. So I worked here for 5 years, and I think so. I want to share some science communication that I did here. And after that, I moved to Denmark. So I got this PhD fellowship. It's called the Marie Curie. It's a EU, European Union fellowship. And then so when I got this, I moved here, and then I'm almost finishing my PhD now. I have 4 months to finish. So my PhD project is called Cusco. Cusco it's related to quantum physics. And this is my research group, Science at Home. And this is the university. Okay, so here I wanted to share some pictures. So this is my life at Z-Life. I'm here. So Z-Life Education had an astronomy club. So we would run these astronomy clubs in schools. So about 5 to 6 years ago, I think astronomy was still not a very, it's still not a formal subject in schools. So like how you would have a music club and dance club, art club. So at Z-Life, we tried to introduce astronomy clubs in different schools. We would go to schools and we would make it optional for students to join the club. When they joined the club for 1 year, every month we would do some activities with them. So one of them was also teaching them how to use a telescope. We would also have night sky observation or observing the sun. So here in this picture, you see the telescope, there's a solar filter, and then you can see like sunspots on the sun. Then we also had workshops, and this age group was from, let's say, class 5 and above for the astronomy club. And then we had science festivals where we had this rocketry workshop. So sort of making them feel like, okay, they were little rocket scientists and teaching them some basic science behind how a rocket is designed or how rockets work. So we did these so we had like workshops and science festivals. Then I was also involved in doing a lot of science shows. So this show here, so you can see this fire, it's called Rubin's tube. So you show frequency in music by making, you have a tube and then you make music go through it. And then the fire dances based on the music. And from the dance, you can see what are the different frequency components in music. And this was like one of my personal favorite shows that I used to really enjoy doing. This is also at a science festival. Then we also we came up with this concept called a science show at birthday parties. People had some mixed reaction because like people never thought you could do something with science at a birthday party because it's usually, but we tried it out. I think first few months, it didn't go that well, as in like no one was exploring this. And then suddenly it took off really well. Like we had a lot of bookings. And then we tried experimenting, different places, different experiments, what would go in the show. And then gradually that evolved into quite a big project. Then we saw a lot of parents were getting interested. They would also come up with themes. They said, oh, my daughter likes frozen themes, so can you have experiments that are all related to freezing things? So we would come up with different experiments, and it was a lot of fun. Some also, so you with this you can't really, sometimes the idea is not to teach science, but to create like amazement and make something stick, so that they think about this moment sometime later and think about, okay, I saw this maybe 2 years ago and it was really interesting. I want to find out more. So we didn't try to teach everything at that moment. It's to create that curiosity, create amazement. Then, okay, I went too fast. Yes, then I also did making science kits. So we realized that most students or even young children, they love slime. So we decided to make a slime kit and to teach them about polymers. So polymer and everything mostly around us are polymers, be it different kinds of plastic, they have polymer inside your body, DNA is a polymer. So we use through slime how to teach them about a polymer. So they would make slime, but to make slime, they would use PVA and borax, which were two polymers. We would sort of teach them that chemical reaction. Then we also made these video series, Fun Science at Home, which means that you can actually do science using stuff from your kitchen, for example. So I want to quickly show this. And all of this is in YouTube. So if you go to this channel it's called Yucky Science. I think if you see it here, if you go to Yucky Science, you can have a whole playlist of videos and you can use it. Like, let's say if you want to teach someone or if you want to do it yourself, you can use these videos. They have step-by-step instructions. I'll just quickly show here. So the idea was to use anything that was at home. So let's say Sprite and bleaching powder. Also, when you're doing with kids, it's important to mention the safety. And the idea here was how can you identify acids or bases using a pH indicator. So you can use red cabbage and create red cabbage juice. So each of these videos have like step-by-step instructions, and just follow them one by one. Mostly, you get it right. You just have to maybe sometimes be careful of the amount you put. And then I'll just fast forward a little bit. So we prepare all these different liquids. So you have all these different kind of liquids. How do you identify which is acid or base? And you put red cabbage juice, and this color change makes them realize that, okay, all liquids, even if they look transparent, but when you start putting something, they can change color. And then we organize them according to their pH. And then we have the most basic here and the most acidic here. And then it sort of ends with a question as well. So we use these videos also in schools that some teachers used to use in the introduction of chemistry or something that they were going to learn later in the class, but this used to be as an introduction that would also be used. So these videos are available online. You can also use it for your own, if you just want to enjoy doing some experiments, and also if you want to teach someone else. And then I'd started doing my PhD, so I was there for 5 years in ZLife, and after 5 years, I was also looking for and I found this fellowship and started doing my PhD. So my PhD, I'm working with games and simulation. How can I use games and simulations to do quantum physics research? So maybe there's a research problem in the game that can be used by other people to also play and solve the problem. I use it for education. How can we teach quantum physics through games? Is it an effective method? What impact does it make? And I also use it for science communication. So me and a colleague of mine, her name is Oksana. She was working in Germany. We got together and we organized this quantum game cafe. So quantum game cafe is you take a restaurant, you go to a restaurant. We went to this restaurant and we said, oh, we want to organize an event. The restaurant was really happy. They said, because, okay, all of you will come and I'll get good business. So we said, okay, we want to organize an event. We want to book 20 tables, and people will come, order coffee or drink or eat food. And what we would do is we would play some games with everyone. So these were some games we put together, some computer games. So we had to get some computers and then some card games. And the whole idea was to teach them about or give them some formal introduction to quantum physics. And it was open to everyone. People typically like to play games, so it's a very easy invitation to teach and for people to learn. So I just had this again very So this event was easy to do in terms of you don't have to, you need to find a restaurant, you need to create a Facebook event, and you need to spread the word. And ultimately we had about 60 to 100 people who came for this, just because the introduction said, okay, let's play some games and learn fun things about physics and quantum physics. And only thing is you have to arrange the games yourself. So we bought some games. And most of these computer games are free online. So just you need to arrange for some laptops and make sure you have internet and electrical connection, and you're done. So it's something that I also recommend the students I mentor now for outreach to do quick activities like this. It's also building community. You could do it in let's say you stay in some locality, and then you can get people together in your locality itself to do this. So also my PhD, so this is my PhD group, and so we have this outreach work package where my PhD project focuses a lot on how we can build outreach skills of all researchers. So I'm involved in like how to help them make outreach products. So I formally don't have a degree in science communication, but it was through my experience that I picked up some skills, and my supervisor thought I could do this. So I started doing this, how to help researchers communicate science. They're building a portfolio. You must have heard of how photographers have a portfolio, how teachers would have like a teaching portfolio, designers have a design portfolio. So we came up with this something called an outreach portfolio, that after your end of your PhD, they would have a portfolio of different outreach efforts that they've done during their research career. And I'm also doing research on other effective outreach methods. What are the gaps in outreach? What are the trends, challenges, and how we can fill that? And this is something that we did with the PhD students. It was infographic. Show your research through images. So what they did was they first drew on just paper and pen, and then we took a digital tool and we converted them. And this was, okay, how to control an atom. So here the atom is aimed at a particular, it's not working. So then it needs to be tweaked, and then you hit the target. So this is people's PhD students' actual research that they came up with these infographics. Then also how to make a poster. So a poster is meant to give you quick information about a topic, and also to make you curious about it. So using a lot of pictures, using less text as possible, and having some cartoons to bring out the message. And then this exercise we actually did with the PhD students. So I thought I would, because it was a fun one. And the idea is that you have to explain what you study. It could be what you study, your love for science, or Darshana mentioned that you did some science communication assignments. I put in your last assignments in 15 seconds. So, and this we made people do on the spot. So it's as if you had to meet someone, you've met someone, and you have to convince about what you do, and you only have 15 seconds to do it. So you have to imagine you're stuck in a lift with that person, and you have to explain what you do. How would you do it in 15 seconds? So again, so here actually I'm. If anyone wants to try it now, they can unmute themselves and let's try it out. Is anyone up for this?
Yeah, definitely, Shaeema. Any girl
Okay.
who wants to do 15 seconds quick science communication exercise with Shaima? Anyone?
Can you
Because they have,
demonstrate first?
oh, they want one example from you, Shaima.
Oh, there was one example from me. Okay, so
Yeah.
okay, I'll quickly now. So okay, you can open your stopwatch or timer. So I'm think I'll
Okay.
estimate if this is for 15 seconds or not. Okay, so hi,
Okay.
Emma, and I work with atoms. Atoms are really small, so they're hard to control, and I'm trying to investigate how to control atoms through games and simulations. Was that 15?
Wow. It was 10 seconds, less than 10
Oh my
seconds.
God!
It was so quick. So now you know, I think she has given you a very good example. Now, somebody who wants to try, you have to just explain anything in very
Explain
simple,
anything. Yes.
anything in like related to science or anything.
Yes.
Yes.
Can I try?
Yes,
Let's
definitely.
go ahead.
Please speak
Okay.
your name. Say your name and then
Hello everyone.
Hello.
Hello everyone. I'm Supriya. I learned how to put in various data from all the fields using different frequency distributions in statistics.
Oh wow, 5
Wow,
seconds.
that was good. This is 7 seconds.
7 seconds, yeah.
7.76. Yeah. Anyone else?
Anyone else?
Hello.
Hello,
My
everyone.
name is Diksh. Oh,
Mhm.
Yes,
Go ahead,
Diksha, start.
Diksha.
Diksha, you are
should I go
muted.
first?
Yes, now you start.
Okay. So I'm Diksha. In my last assignment, we experimented with curd. Curd comes from milk, and lactobacillus help set the curd. We experimented like how the bacteria works under different temperatures.
Wow. Okay. This was
Wow,
exactly
good.
seconds.
This is 17 seconds, but I mean, I guess
Okay.
the whole idea is like how in 15 seconds, because if you can say something in a short duration, it means you are clear on what you want to communicate. That's the whole like.
Ma'am, I would like to try once.
Yes, of course. All right, so I have my stopwatch ready. So, okay, start.
I'm Shrika. Last week we did an experiment that how spider forms a web. Spider has the ability to form a silk from its glands, so that there are different types of webs. Same spider don't form the same type of web, and that was our experiment. Thank you.
Okay, great. This is 18 seconds. Also very good. Okay, I guess if we'll take one last one just because of time, and then maybe if we have time later in the question slot, we can also experiment a little bit more. But maybe we can take one last one now.
We can take two. Okay,
We can
so
take two,
Shaima, we
okay.
are okay with. Yeah.
We okay with time? Okay, fine. Then
Yeah.
go ahead.
Because I think this is interesting. They are learning and they have done science communication exercises in the last session, last week. So it is
Mhm.
good for them to learn how to brief their summary. Yeah.
Okay, great. So who's next?
Anyone?
Hello, everyone.
Mhm.
So I learned at my internship how to detect the gamma rays using germanium detectors. Thank you.
Okay, also cool. 4 seconds. Nice.
Anyone else? Okay. No other girl. I think we have 52. Okay, Dimple, yes, please speak.
Okay, so my name is Dimple, and from last assignment, we learned that how reflection, refraction, and interference combinedly work, and we see a rainbow whenever a petrol or a diesel falls on wet surfaces.
Amazing.
Really good. 13 seconds. And also, I think what was nice is you had a very good pace. Like sometimes I talk fast. You had good pace. You introduced reflection, refraction, and then you gave an example where you see it. This is really good. I liked it. Yes.
Actually, Shaima, actually, many girls are raising their hands. Do you have anything after this particular slide? Then I will let you go ahead and then we will take
Yeah.
their.
So
Would you like to conclude? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, actually, let's do this. Then let me conclude in the next 5 minutes, and then we can maybe go on with
Yeah.
the a little bit more. What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You go ahead
Okay.
with your slides. Yeah.
So, all right. So we'll come back to this exercise. In the meantime, you can also think about more ideas. This one was okay. I also wanted to show this example. So, some of you who are interested in dance, there's a contest called Dance Your PhD contest. So you can I think it's meant for PhD researchers, but then they also have the section where you have to through a dance show some concept of physics. So I'll just quickly briefly show this. So this was the winner in 2015 of physics where they did something in the lab. So they've played this word with like tango and entanglement of. So like they want to convey photons propagate together. So like the dance is conveying that, and so I'll just stop here. Yeah. So the idea here I wanted to show is that you can also do science communication through dance and theater, and that's also becoming really popular now. So if you have if you're interested in such kind of science communication, or also think you have skills for it, I think just go for it. There's a lot of new stuff coming up. This is on a bit abstract level, so sometimes for people who are watching this, we'll have to sort of understand what's going on. But then that also raises questions. So maybe after what you do, you have a conversation about it and say, oh, okay, you saw this in the dance. What did you think it meant? And we actually also see it in Indian dances, right? You have Bharatanatyam, or in our different dance forms, there's always a little bit of storytelling that happens in the dance. So I think that's really beautiful. So you could also, just an idea. And 1 second. Yes, so I think career avenues, I'm going to skip this because Doreen actually already touched upon this. So maybe we could skip this. Let's see if there was something new I wanted to add. Yeah, I also added you can start your own research, science communication company. And these are places where you can, let's say after your graduation or post-graduation, can also directly apply. So Vigyan Prasar has a lot of, has a science communication training program and department. So Z-Life Education is where I work myself. So I can highly recommend that. And if you want to know if you want to contact someone over there for like an internship, I can help you out with that. Space is another company. They have astronomy. So if you're interested with astronomy, they do a lot of astronomy clubs. You can also apply for media channels like National Geographic and Discovery Science. And after you get some training in science communication, both you need science. Usually in these channels, you need science and you'd also need a background. So some bachelor's in some field in science and some mass communication courses. Yes, and these are some courses. We actually have a society called Indian Science Communication Society. So they actually come up with courses. Some are online and some you have to enroll for. I don't know what's the latest, but you could just go to this. I think I have the link here. I'll just click on it to show you. Oh, I think it's yeah. Is to have something, training course in science journalism through online science / distance learning. And then, so they impart basic journalistic skills. It's more for science, for science journalism. And 1 second. Yes, this one. And now, yes, that was it. Oh, these are some also places where you could think of. So if most of you are doing a bachelor's now, because I think mostly are undergraduates. So if you're doing bachelor's now, you could also take up a master's degree in science communication. This is if you want to have a dedicated career path in science communication. And yes, now we've come to the end. Thank you so much for listening to the talk. And I will end my slideshow here. And yes, should we go ahead with the activity?
Actually, Shaeema, and thank you so much for the wonderful talk, bringing out so many things in one possible talk to tell them about science communication. I think they are going to revisit this whole lecture on YouTube after this so that they can go to all the pages and links that you have shared. And we will also have these things to be shared in Kalpana Network, because now we are going to, today we did the okay, Shaeema, can you stop sharing your screen? Because I can see myself on the screen, right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I think I lost it for a while.
Okay. Okay, so I was just saying, like, probably we will be having the Kalpana Network now. And as you and other speakers are going to be part of the Kalpana Network, and we request you to be there and just share all these things related to science communication as posts or just links or the opportunities of internships there, so that students can actually get access to it. We are also going to consolidate it and we are going to share it, but definitely anything that you like to share over there, please share. And before going any further, I think now we can take questions. Before that, we should take that activity that we were doing, 15 seconds. So we had Divya who was raising her hand. Divya Tamta from our mentor Sagar's group. Divya, would you like to speak?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Divya from Missouri, and last week I learned about why magnet is stick to iron and magnetic properties of metals.
Good.
Good.
So I think
fine. So I actually have like a stopwatch, and I'm doing like start stop because just 6 seconds. Great.
Great. We have Alpana now. Alpana, please speak.
I'm Alpna. From the last week, we learned that why the rainbow-like colors are seen whenever petrol falls on wet surface, and we concluded that it is due to thin film interference.
Wow.
Wow.
Great. She gave her name, she gave the observation, she also gave the explanation what she observed. That's good, yes. Alpana. Yeah,
good,
nice.
Good. Nice.
We have Tia. Tia, please speak.
A very good afternoon to all of you.
Good afternoon.
Last week we studied about why do clouds seem stationary as compared to other objects, and we come across very much very much questions. But why this happen? Because the clouds are at distance and the trees are very closer to us.
Okay.
Okay, nice. Yeah, it was slightly longer, but good track. Yeah. And the thing is, we did this activity with PhD students. It was really hard for them. And that's when you realize that because when you do research, you think, oh, you know it all and you can say this so quickly. But then they would say it and they were using all complicated words. No one understood. And that was taken out. So what they also did was they had to practice, and then we met later and then they presented it. And now we're doing it like really on the spot. So I really appreciate how everyone's also coming up and also really good. Yes.
Yeah, I think we will take last one before the questions. And if somebody else wants to add on to this activity, we will take in between in the Q&A as well. So Amisha, would you like to speak? And then we will go to Q&A.
Myself, Amisha, I learned that why do clouds don't fall due to gravity. Two main reasons are clouds are made up of small droplets and air below them is continuously pushing them up.
Oh,
okay.
Wow. This is
Wonderful.
very good. Yeah. Like you mentioned the problem and then you also mentioned the two causes. Good. Yes.
Good, good, Amisha. And now I will take questions first, and then I will take few girls who are speaking and want to take part in this activity. So there is this question for from Yogshika, and she asked it to Doreen first, and she asked, Doreen, I hope we have you here with us right now before I pose the question.
You do. You have me
Yeah,
here.
okay. Okay, thank you. So the question from Yogshika, she's asking, ma'am, what is the first step to science journalism? From where we shall start?
Okay. Hello, Yakshika. Thank you for that question. So the first step to science journalism and where you should start from where you are. You see this activity that Dr. Shaeema is having you do? That's an excellent activity. Start from where you are. Start writing, what you're learning on this fellowship. Start decongesting what breaking down what you're learning on this fellowship and writing them into short stories. Keep them short and sweet. 50 words, 100 words, add a couple of pictures and a couple of infographics like Dr. Shaeema has highlighted. That's where you start. By the time you do this a number of times, you realize that you've built confidence in yourself. To be honest, and I'm sure Dr. Shaeema will tell you that, you require a lot of confidence to keep going at this thing. Do this in short bits and you realize that you've built a lot of confidence, okay? And then you can start expanding, but start from where you are, start small. And don't forget that when you write something or you design something or you sketch something, if you're artistic, don't keep it to yourself. Share it on your WhatsApp groups. That's what affects a lot of people. Share it on your WhatsApp groups. Share it on social media. Share it on your Instagram. Don't worry about the likes for now. Don't worry about the comments and the retweets. Just keep going. Okay, and then very soon you'll see yourself on very big stages. But to answer your question, start from where you are and start now.
That's wonderful, actually. So I think today, when in the internal lecture, when they were learning, I told like about the social media and how they can actually publish their own work. So like they did some small science communication activity in last week, and how they can actually use it as their first post on LinkedIn because it is their activity and they have created that. They had a nice voiceover in the video that they have created. So yes, start from there, girls. As Doreen said, start from where you are right now.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful. Good suggestion. And there is, I will just keep taking questions for you and Shaeema in between. And Yokshika is also asking to Shaeema, and ma'am, how does that birthday party idea got its leap? So she had this idea where she was demonstrating science in birthday parties. So Shaeema, yes.
Yeah, so how that happened was, I think in the company, so Z Life Education, when I joined, it was a startup. So we always had to come up with some new ideas to keep it going. And then we thought about this because it first came, birthday parties mean a lot to people. They want to do something different on their birthday parties. So we thought, why not propose this idea? And we came up with different activities. And we said, okay, someone can book us for half an hour where we do these activities. And then we also thought people also like to give return gifts in birthday parties. So we thought we can have an experiment where they make something and that can become the return gift. So we tried to combine like what typically people want in a birthday party and what we have, tried to see some overlap. And that's how it started.
Okay. I think they might be getting this idea from you now, probably doing some science outreach, little bit, some experiments, maybe in their communities nearby, maybe up like in their neighborhood to show their neighbors like this is how the experiments are done and this is basic science.
Yes.
It's a wonderful idea. And we have Deeksha asking, Doreen, I follow your page on FB and it is very inspiring. Any tips for who wants to be a science communicator? How to begin and deal with the initial inhibition?
Thank you very much, Diksha. I just saw you're following and I'm going to follow you back now. Thank you for following. So you're asking tips for who wants to be a science communicator and how to deal with inhibition. So most times what holds us back is the fact that we don't believe in ourselves enough.
Okay.
The first thing is you have to believe that you are the right person to talk about your work. And in the real sense of it, take for example, you've been on this fellowship for some weeks now, yeah? Who else will talk about this fellowship better than you? There's no one actually. You're the one. You're the best person to tell us about your experience, right? So first, you have to go past that feeling of being shy, or people are going to think this about you, or they're going to say you're talking too much, or they're going to say you've not put your English correctly, or they say your tenses are not right, or you didn't put full stop in the right place. Go beyond all of that, okay? The real people that you're trying to get to will not see all those things. So to me, I feel like that is the major inhibition that prevents people from actually talking about their science, talking about their work. So they do excellent stuff and then they keep it at home. But we won't all come to your house to find out what the excellent thing you've done, right? We would wait for you on social media to see it. So go past that. You are enough. You're the right person. You're the expert in this case to talk about the work that you have been doing, say, for example, on this fellowship, or the work that you're doing in science. Okay, so Diksha, put out your information, put out your posts, put out your comments about science, about your experience, about your challenges, and watch how you would evolve very beautifully from that. Okay, you're enough. Don't forget that. You're enough and you're the right person for the job.
So Diksha, you know now you are enough. And I think everybody, you are enough, girls. You have to go ahead now.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you so much for that.
and Ankita is asking, this is a general question. And ma'am, I want to ask that how can we write research papers and what we have to do for this? First, you have to do research for that. That I will answer because I'm a PhD already. Rest, definitely. Doreen or Shaeema, would you like to add anything on that? How they can do research?
How you can write research papers.
Yes.
Okay, I'll just take a bit and then I'll allow Shaeema to make her comments as well. So, of course, like she said, you have to do research first. You have to have something that you want to talk about. But do you know that even within, you can do an independent research from where you are. You can carry out a very simple study, a very simple survey, right? Say you want to find out the percentage or the perception about, girls in STEM, or you want to find out perception about teachers that teach STEM subjects. Anything, come up with something with the help of your mentors, and you can carry out an independent study. This study could be, you could collect your samples across WhatsApp group. Just make sure you have a very defined questionnaire, right? Make sure it's ethical. Make sure everyone has a right to answer or not answer. And then sample your questionnaire and collect your results and analyze it. That's research now, right? My fellow PhD students. That's research, yeah? Analyze it, and then you write it up. There's a structure to write research. I don't know if it's on the curriculum for your program, but there's a standard structure to write research. You want to know the background. Why are you doing the research? What's the problem? What's the gap? What has been done before what has been done before, and then there's a need to do more, right? You want to identify that gap. Then you want to tell us what you did and how you did it. So you want to tell us, oh, you sampled, you designed a questionnaire. This was a copy of the questionnaire. You passed it across to 70 people from India or something, or across the world. And these were the results you got. How did you analyze it? Which tool did you use to analyze it? That's your methods. It's as simple as that, right? And then you want to tell us what you found, your results. I found that 17% of girls like to do STEM until when they get to senior secondary school. I found that this and that, and then you try to discuss it. Okay, you don't over discuss it, but just try to explain why you think these things are happening. And that is your independent research, and you can publish it. You may not be able to publish it in the big journals, Nature Science or something, right? But you can publish it on your blog. You can publish it on Vegan Shala blog. If you submit it to Vegan Shala, they would be able to look at it and see if it's something they can publish, and they can put it on their blog for you. And that's it. You're a published researcher. It's as simple as that.
Is
now
actually
the beauty of doing this thing, especially at this stage, is that when you get into a PhD study, you have a lot of confidence. You have a lot of experience already. You've done these things, right? So that's a very good question, and it should be a very good challenge for you guys, to carry out a simple study. You don't have to do any lab work if you don't need to. You can just do a survey and publish it, and then it could be published on the website. I don't know what you have to say, Shaeema.
I think
I agree completely. I think, in principle, one can, after this talk is over, they can directly dive into it. Think of some questions. Yeah, think of some questions. And then I like the idea of just sending it around in WhatsApp groups. I mean, these are something that you don't need, how the idea is also how you can easily implement it. So get responses, do a data analysis. And I think it's a really good idea. I agree with all of it.
Yeah. So it's an idea for maybe Dashana and the team. You could pair them, to bring about collaboration, team working, and all that. Three researchers in one group. And then when they publish it, it becomes Diksha et al. That's it.
Yeah, definitely. With this, I remember.
About it.
That is wonderful. And I think they had this one session where we discussed about open science research projects, open science projects. So the STEM education and how they can get involved with people all across the world, and especially in India. And they can just dive into any research project, bring any observation, and try anything that they want to. Darshana, would you like to add anything on that?
Yeah, so girls, I have a few things to remind you again. You saw Professor GN, he spoke about the platform called Cool STEM Games. So I would say exercise your creative muscles, join there, start thinking critically, collaborate, and communicate your science. So that is the 4 C's of 21st century curriculum that we sort of spoke about
covered
last week. So remember these 4 C's and go join Cool STEM Games. The whole Kalpana team will be there. And, there are people who are just doing wonderful science projects, from Drosophila to hydras to building weather stations, all with whatever kachra and waste you have at home. So, and you can actually start publishing. As Doreen said, you can publish on Cool STEM Games, you can publish on our blogs, we can help you publish elsewhere as well. If, we can keep refining, but the first step has to be from you. So, and thanks. And Doreen, I think I missed out on introducing. Bharti is the lead of our program, Kalpana. Bharti, she's the one who's done a lot of work in this.
That's so lovely.
Okay. Without team, nothing is possible. So
anyway, I don't want to go. That's it, girls. And I'm silently watching all the nice action here. So thank you.
She is doing all the monitoring behind the back. She has to keep track of everything that is going on. So So I have other questions that are coming. So okay, ma'am, I want to ask that how can we? Okay, this is done. Now we have Ramya asking, how can we write journals on science-related topics? And can you suggest me a perfect blog to write my journals? Because in Google, we are getting many more sites which we are not aware of. So they are looking for basically a science related topic, a science blog where they can publish. And would you like?
Already partly answered this question. I think for them, the first starting stage is school STEM games. That's where they should start from.
Definitely. And otherwise, also, I think there's no that they can also start publishing their LinkedIn articles, small articles on LinkedIn, and make it as a blog. Because when I was doing my PhD, at that time, I started writing briefly about infectious diseases and tuberculosis, what is latent tuberculosis, just because I knew that many people doesn't know what is the difference between the one which is like a silent tuberculosis and the one which is the active tuberculosis. So that was my motivation to write at that time. So just like use your LinkedIn probably to start writing articles and do research with the cool STEM games. Definitely. Anything else that you want to say, Shaeema, on that, or anything that you want to add on?
Yeah, I think there is another platform where one can publish blogs. It's called Medium.
Okay, yeah.
On Medium, and the advantage about Medium is it's you can, once you write an article, then you can put some keywords. So when people search for something, then if it matches with the keywords, people start reading your article. With LinkedIn or with other platforms, sometimes people have to follow you, or
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so then they start seeing you. With Medium, the advantage is you don't need followers as such, but like if people have to follow a particular topic, let's say if they're following science, technology. So when you write your blog, give those keywords, and I think that would be also useful, a good platform to put in blogs.
Yeah,
medium.com.
Definitely. So, girls, the other platform is Medium, and definitely do check it out. It has very interesting articles on different diverse topics. I actually read on certain political topics as well through on Medium. Yeah. So, Gunjan is asking, Shaima ma'am and Doreen ma'am, I just want to ask that what things motivate you to take these amazing sessions and talk to us? Okay, please answer that. What inspires you to talk to them, and what motivates you to talk to them through these kind of sessions? Shaima, please, you first, and then Doreen.
Okay, I can go ahead. I think what motivates me is first, I think when I was studying, there were not too many avenues for science communication. No one taught me that importance of science communication. It's something that I discovered on my own, and I think it's also very undervalued. It's
true.
Talk to scientists and researchers, they always say, oh, I don't have the time to do it. It's something that you do in your free time. And that's something I think I have a problem with. Like, it has to be part of you. And I think, so even today when I'm talking, I don't think I'm sacrificing something. It is a part of me. And I think that's why it comes automatically. I guess that would be my motivation, because I think there's an attitudinal problem I see from researchers and scientists. Oh, it's my free time, that I can only do this in my free time, or I don't have time to do this. My focus is on research. Yeah. And when in slide it said that when you do research, you also have to talk about it. And I think that really goes hand in hand. So yeah.
Sure. Doreen, would you like to say what is your motivation?
Of course. I believe in sending down lightened ladders to the next generation of people. I have been helped and have been empowered by different people, by family, by friends, by organizations. Like I mentioned, I'm a beneficiary of Schlumberger Faculty for the Future Foundation. They are paying my scholarship fees, my PhD fees, right? And on that platform, I've met someone like Dr. Dashana, who has introduced me to a lot of other opportunities. So you see, we're all beneficiaries of help. And I feel like, I just have to pay it forward and send back help as much and as often as I can. Yeah. Okay, so that's what inspires me, that when there's an opportunity to speak to young people, I jump on it. I have an organization called the STEM Belle, and what we do there is that we reach out to young girls from low-income communities, so to speak, economically disadvantaged communities, and we just go out there to empower them with STEM skills, to motivate them to continue on the path of science. And we get to support them, to do science up to senior secondary school and then higher institution levels. So that's my motivation. I believe that we're all here to lift each other up. So I have been lifted up by so many people and by so many systems. So I have to pay it forward. And I have to lift the next generation up as well. So that's really my motivation.
Wonderful. Actually, to both of you, I can really connect. And that is the whole goal of Kalpana. So Kalpana is all about uplifting the women community. We are uplifting each other when we are doing this. And as you said, Shaeema, I actually discussed with them an example of Einstein in the last session, that how Einstein told his wife Elsa that just tell people it's a secret, no need to elaborate on the science, because they just considered that it is not required to be communicated, and but it is important for the layman people to understand, because the science is for them. Whatever we are doing as a researcher, it is for people. So definitely, it is important to communicate it in simpler words. And Doreen, Gunjan is also asking you that, is there any other problem that you have faced while communicating your idea, or conveying your idea to a particular community? Did you ever face any kind of challenge when you were communicating your idea?
First of all, I'm going to say this. One of the first things that I faced, and like one of you asked, is I used to question myself. Before I started talking about my work and interacting with young people, I used to question myself, am I the right person for this? Am I sure I can talk about this? Oh my God, these guys are going to think I'm saying rubbish. But, I overcame that challenge, and I'm still overcoming it. You never get perfect at it, but I'm still in the process of, overcoming it, but I'm still going. The second challenge that I would say that I faced is that, you're talking about science. Science doesn't look as attractive as you expect, right? This is not fashion or style. Don't get me wrong. I love fashion. I love style, right? This is science. So there's a lot more work you have to do to make sure it looks, attractive enough to gather people around and keep them in that space. So sometimes, there's a lot more thinking that you have to do. It's not entirely a challenge, but it's something extra you have to do. There's a lot more thinking you have to do. Your creativity level has to be, quite good, because you're trying to be spontaneous, you're trying to be diverse, you're trying to attract a range of different people. Some people have never, had interest in science before, and you're trying to get them in. So I think that's it, just getting your brain to work like this. But it's interesting. It's an interesting experience. So don't let that discourage you. It could be a challenge, but you could turn it around for your good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a question from Diksha. It's a general question for both the speakers. So whosoever would like to answer it first. She's asking how to approach misinformation, fake news, for example, which says garlic can cure coronavirus. So can you guys please demonstrate how would you like to address this misinformation? Because sometimes that the news is obviously fake, but it does get overwhelming when somebody is defending it so fiercely. So you don't know, you have to engage them in a scientific, correct discussion. How would you do that? So, Shaeema, would you like to answer first?
Yeah, okay, I could go first. So I guess the best way I would say is, let's look at the problem. It's COVID-19. It's a virus that's inside, and it's either transmitted through airborne or water droplets. So how does garlic and any of this has any connection? So like sort of ask the other person of, okay, if it's not garlic, could it be an onion, or could it be, some other? So like sort of try to have flip the story and ask for convincing sort of evidence saying that, okay, why did you say garlic? What was it that you saw that made you believe this? So if it's like a debate, yeah. And then I think automatically that would come out, because in general, like no one has ever experienced any connection with something that you did with garlic and impacted coronavirus. So
No
yeah.
one has ever experienced coronavirus before as well, like this one. So yeah, so definitely garlic.
So,
Saying it is a cure. It is a very firm statement to make. Otherwise, all the countries would be transporting garlic. And
the other thing, one is one could also subscribe to. So most journals are, the problem in most journals are also not open access. So
yes.
access scientific journals, but there's some open access magazines called, at least the one I follow in physics. So there's one called physics. It's a physics magazine, and what they do is they create a summary of a scientific paper. So it is it's slightly technical, but let's say if you encounter something like that, try to look for a research paper that talks about that. If you actually find something in a magazine that actually talks about that, okay, maybe there's some proof that someone else has done some research on it. And if you don't find it, there's quite higher chance that what this particular statement is not true. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Doreen, would you like to
Yeah.
add something? Yeah.
Yes. So with regards to your question, the relationship between garlic and coronavirus. Now, we had a lot of things, put onions at the four corners of your room and da 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 da. If I remember, during the Ebola scare as well, when there was Ebola going on in Africa, and then there was Ebola came into Nigeria. There was one morning we all woke up, and we woke up to a WhatsApp broadcast message. WhatsApp is so powerful, yet so, I don't know, very interesting. And the WhatsApp message says that everyone has to take a bath with salt water, and when you take a bath with salt water, it would protect you from Ebola, and you would never have Ebola.
Oh.
And everyone emptied the salt in their houses, and they were bathing. Some people were drinking the salt water. I think some people died. I think about 4 or 5 people died because they overdosed themselves with salt. So you can see how terrible, how tragic misinformation can be. Your role as a science communicator, when they say garlic, when you take garlic or when you put garlic in your room or in your handbag, is going to stop the coronavirus from affecting you. Your role as a science communicator is to try to find out what's in garlic, try to research on maybe some pathways that, garlic is linked to virus evasion and all of that. That's your role as a science communicator. First, as a science communicator, you have to be a scientist. So you read about it, look at the properties of garlic, see if there is any link to what or the symptoms of coronavirus or the things that coronavirus is showing up, right? If there's any link, then you can make very careful statements like it may suggest, but don't come out and say this is what will happen. You will be free from COVID-19 if you take 10 cloves of garlic, right? That's your role as a science communicator. Do the background research, find out if there's any link. And if there's no link, put out the information and say you have investigated this thing. There is really no link between these two entities, right? And then you counter that false information with your own, when people see that you have done a good work, you have done the research, you have studied these pathways, and you're showing them that this does not connect to this, they would believe you. Not everybody would believe you, of course, but some people will believe you, right? And with time, at least proper information is out there and not just the misinformation or the fake news. Okay, it's the same thing as when people say, because I do egg research, people come out to say when you eat, as an elderly person, when you eat eggs, then you're going to have a heart attack. It was a misinformation. There's no research that correlates heart disease with egg consumption. There's none, right? But there was a study that investigated this, and the results came out negative. But you know, that study was published in scientific papers. Now, except you read scientific papers, you may not know. But if a science communicator picks up that scientific paper and breaks it down into layman's terms and puts it out on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, some people would now realize that there's really no correlation between egg consumption and pulmonary heart diseases.
Okay.
So you see your power as a science communicator.
Definitely. And especially people who are not coming from science background, they tend to believe anything that is coming on WhatsApp or something. As I mentioned to girls, Kalpana fellows, that our parents, even my mother and somebody else, they tend to believe this kind of information more often than anybody else. And then they try to tell you, like, no, this is the correct way. You have to treat yourself with this particular thing, and probably you will not catch coronavirus or something. But yeah, you need to do fact check, and it is important for you to address misinformation in the right way, being a science communicator. There is this one question Supriya is asking. In order to understand about what we have learned regarding maths or computers, the audience should have minimum knowledge about that topic. If they aren't aware of anything, how can we explain it clearly to them? Could you please give an example? Shaeema, would you like to answer?
Yeah, I was just thinking. So with math, actually, you can use with younger students or anyone. So there's a lot of experiments you can do to show geometry with just shapes in the house. You can also have experiments with like soap bubbles. That's for young kids. So I guess that could be one way through this informal, but I guess for proper math foundation. And I think that, like, because through science communication, you can give an informal introduction, but it may not necessarily teach you all of it. If you really want to be taught in detail, then one has to take a course or a class in it. Yeah, I mean, science communication may not be will not be adequate for that, I'd say. But yeah, you can have some experiments that bring out some mathematical concept. One good way also is, for example, you can have activities like building a tower. There is this activity, you have some straws, limited number of straws, and you have to build a tower. And to build a stable tower, you actually have to use math. So sort of using math or computer to complete a task. Because if it's just something like, oh, you have to learn math or you have to learn computer, like, then the question comes like, why? But then if you make a connection, if you use math, you can solve this problem. And then this problem could be just, okay, design a straw tower that can stand straight. So you would have to make some geometry, angles, make some calculation of how many pillars you need. And that's where you're using math. So I think the root is that show the importance of a concept and where it can be used, and that's how you can teach people. And for something really concrete, then I guess, yeah, one has to just take a course, formal course. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, there are some postgraduate courses in science communication as well.
Yes.
And if somebody is really interested in pursuing science communication as their career, definitely go ahead and take a look into that.
And take up course, yeah.
Yeah.
So courses sometimes are really powerful. Like since I have never taken a course in science communication, but I'm really interested in it. And sometimes I do think about actually taking a course. I haven't done it, but maybe sometimes in the future I might take an add-on course. It's because I have an interest, but a course sometimes gives you more skills. So
definitely. Yeah, for sure, because they prepare the whole coursework in that particular direction. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Darshana, would you like to say something?
Yeah, so I just wanted to add to this thing, girls. There's a very funny activity called the Upgoer 5 Challenge, which I find quite interesting and can be a good starting point for you all to start exploring science communication. So it says explaining a phenomena using the 10 most common words, and as you can see, the 10 literally means 1,000, so even 1,000 is not most commonly used among most commonly used 1,000 words. So you do check out. I'll share the links in the Kalpana group as well. And it's an exciting activity. You can pick up any phenomena and you can start typing. There's a text editor. You can start typing how you're going to explain it. And if you use any jargon, which is not amongst the most commonly used 10 words, it will tell you that you are making it complicated. So that can be another interesting starting step to simplifying something that you want to simplify for people who have no clue about what you're talking.
Yeah.
Thank you much.
Thank you, Darshana. So I think then probably we are done with all the questions that we have today from girls. Darshana, do we have any other question that you would like to ask the speakers? Otherwise, I will just conclude the session.
Just ask if somebody wants to raise hands or say something.
Anybody who would like to add on to anything or want to say something? Simran? Simran, you want to say something?
Yes, Deep.
Did you raise your hand for the 15-second activity or you have a question? Okay,
Yes,
for
Deep.
15-second activity.
Yes, Deep. From last assignment, I was studying that why don't oil and water mix, and water have polar molecules and also don't have polar molecules. So that's why they don't mix.
Okay. Okay, and there is this one question. Good, Simran, nice try. And at least you came up and even waited for this long to give your input into that activity. Thank you. There is this question that I just saw from Sri Devi. Ma'am, how do we identify fake job opportunities on LinkedIn or Facebook or any other social media platforms? Anybody, Doreen, would you like to answer that?
Sorry, please, can you take the question again?
Yeah, how can they identify fake job opportunities on LinkedIn or Facebook or any other social media platforms?
That's very interesting, especially with LinkedIn. So, everyone thinks that, LinkedIn is the hub for job opportunities and networks and all of that. Now, you have to have your tentacles very, very sensitive. A lot of people come into your message box on LinkedIn with all kinds of propositions. Please do your research. When anyone can write anything as a profile. Anyone can say policy officer at something United Kingdom or Germany or something. Anyone can write anything interesting. Please do your research. Almost everything now is online. So if you sense something fishy is happening, take that person's name and that person's role and that person's company and type it on Google. Most organizations these days have their team members or their faculty members or their staff. They have a staff page and it's on Google. Type it on Google and see what you can find. Even if you can't see something that is related to the job, find out if there's anything related to what the person says he's doing. So if the person says he's into tourism or whatever, find out to see if the person has any track record. Is the person on other social media? You would see, Google will put it out. You would even see, Google would even give you pictures of the person. Yeah. Be sure that this person is legit. And if you're not satisfied, if the person claims that he works with Mercedes-Benz in Germany, write a mail to Mercedes-Benz to say that this person is asking me to submit this, and ask your questions and do your research. There's loads and loads of predators out there, loads and loads of catfishes out there that will do anything just to. And if anyone asks you to pay this amount of money, most organizations would never ask you to pay an amount of money to to attend a training except if you've applied for it and they give you an official letter, or to apply for a job or to apply for an internship. Most organizations would not. Right, so just be very sensitive. And then if you're not too sure, you have your mentors on your program, please speak to them. They have gone ahead of you, and then they know a lot of this, seen a lot of these experiences. Some people even come to say, oh, we want to invite you to come and speak to us on a conference. The conference is going to hold in Indonesia or Nigeria or one country, and they ask you to pay some money so that they can prepare your whatever. You realize that the money they've asked you to pay would be like a small amount of money. Please don't pay. They're just trying to look for money to get by. Yeah. Okay. If you notice anything fishy, ask your mentors and ask around. Do your research. You'll most likely find answers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So anything that anywhere that they are asking you for money for a particular job, you have to examine it very carefully. And definitely we in Kalpana Network, we are there. You reach out to us and you bring that thing. We are going to even do the research for you. And and we will get back to you with the proper answer, whether it is a right job or whether it is authentic or not. So thank you, Doreen, in adding on to that. So I think with that, I'm done with the questions for today. And our girls are actually, because their data pack is getting over, they are dropping out eventually. And so Darshana.
Add one thing, like the Kalpana network that we are establishing, now we'll have like lots of people who are willing to help you. And if you have any doubts, girls, please feel free to ask us, because it's just can be very difficult. Social media is a terrifying place. Today we spoke about its good, but it has equally bad downsides as well, particularly if you are a young, vulnerable girl. So before you commit to anything on social media, please go and ask for a second opinion. And because it can also risk your safety and everything. And if you feel any sort of harassment or anything on social media, do not be afraid to flag it up. So I'm like all of us, like people who are leading program Kalpana, people who are going to be in the network Kalpana, people who are part of the Vigyan Shala core team, everybody is here to ensure your safety. I mean, you all are young and at a stage where you are rather vulnerable. But even people like Doreen, me, Bharti, Shaeema, all of us have faced a lot of harassment online as well. So it's not that it's an easy and take it all away kind of a world. So be aware of it, be cautious, be safe. If you find something, like for example, someone really sent me weird messages on LinkedIn recently, and that person was an old man and he wanted to connect with me on WhatsApp and Facebook. Why should I? I'm connecting in a personal and professional capacity. Why should I give somebody my personal WhatsApp? Or why should I invite them to connect with me on Facebook, which is my personal space? So I immediately blocked them. You can either, I would say, engaging with such people sometimes just can bring you down. So prevention is the best therapy. Just block, and you don't need such people in your network. We are here to lift each other. We will support each other. If you find something is even a teeny tiny bit off, just block them. Don't entertain. It's very, very important to stay safe online. While you can do great things with it, equally bad things can also happen. So be cautious, be safe.
Definitely. Thank you, Darshana, for this cautionary statement, because it is really required and everybody has to be extra cautious when using social media as well. Even if you are using it for your betterment, there are people who are actually using it for other purposes. So coming to that, thank you, Doreen and Shaeema, for this wonderful session and bringing so much information related to science communication and answering each and every question of our girls. And I really hope that you join us on the Kalpana Network and be part of it, where girls can reach out to you probably for some opportunities and related to some internship opportunities that they can have later in future, or maybe some other guidance related to what work you are doing and for such amazing impact that you're making, Doreen, by STEM Billy. And seriously, I love the girl, the icon that you have created. I have seen that.
We'll have a joint STEM Delhi and Kalpana meeting like this, 30 from Nigeria, 30 from India. STEM has been making wonderful, a fertile land of ideas, right, Bharti?
Yeah.
Definitely. That would be wonderful because I think girls, no matter from which country they are coming from, they are facing more or like the same challenges. Yes.
I
So
agree.
we have to just come together to pull ourselves up
Yeah.
and right. Like Kalpana, we have to uplift each other. And
Yeah.
yes. So thank you, Shaima, once again.
Thank you,
And
Bharti.
girls will be reaching out for internship opportunities that you mentioned in India, definitely. I'm pretty sure because we have many girls who are having engineering courses right now, enrolled in engineering or physics, mathematics courses. So that would be wonderful opportunity for them if they want to explore science communication. Thank you. And with
I would
that,
also like to say thank you to all the girls who participated in the activity and not feeling shy and asking questions. Thank you so much. Yes.
that was actually a wonderful activity. We are going to practice it more now.
It was an amazing one.
Anything
Yeah,
closing
and
you want to say, like both of you? Sorry.
yeah, would you like to say anything before we close the session?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much again, the entire leadership, management, and the team for having me. Such an honor. I mean, I woke up 4 a.m. and I was like, oh my God, is it time yet?
Oh God.
I love it. This is a very fantastic way to start my week. I'm very happy, and I'm very happy with all the girls that spoke up today and that listened in. I'm excited about the amazing things you're going to do in science and in science communication. Thank you very much, Dashana, for setting the pace for us. I think I have a model that I'm going to copy for the STEM Bell. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Thank you, Bart,
All for it.
leading
All
this.
for it. We're happy to share all the resources. So.
Of course. And Shaeema, thank you so much. Your work is so inspirational. I was just asking, how can I connect with you? Are you on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm active on Facebook as well, Twitter and LinkedIn. I'll also find you. It was also knowing about you, your organization.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that I can glean from you for the research that we do at the STEM Belt with regards to, games, like game-based learning, especially for science. I think is very, very useful. So I'm going to be coming to you maybe in a few months and to see how we can collaborate. Thank you, Dashana, for the opportunity to meet Shaeema and every other amazing lady that I've met today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Shaeema, would you like to conclude?
Yes.
Say anything? Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, I think I said thank you to all the girls. Thanks to both of you and Vigyan and Darshana. I think really this is amazing work. I've been following up every week what you have been doing. I haven't seen all the sessions because it's very early for me in the morning, so I sometimes see the sessions later. So really, it's really good, fantastic, and thank you for also inviting me and being part of this program. And also just reach out to me if you can connect to me on Facebook. So I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and I also write blogs sometimes on Medium, and so you can please feel free. Actually, I should have added my email address. You can also send me an email if you have any questions, both about internship training, skills needed for science communication. Yes, I think I'll share my email with Darshana. Oh, one sec. Maybe I can add it in the chat now, right?
Yeah.
I think that would be just so that then it's. Oh, can I don't think I can add a chat. Chat channel is only available to team members.
I have your email and we will share it with the girls.
You share it.
Okay. So
okay.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
No worries.
So basically, my point was just reach out to me. I'm always there and help you as much as I can and possible. Yes, thank you.
Sure. You are going to get many requests from our Kalpana fellows because today only they learned how to create their LinkedIn profile.
LinkedIn profile, nice. And also, I would like to say thank you also to Doreen. It was really nice knowing you, and I'll connect with you also.
Yeah.
Yes. So we just had some networking now.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yes.
I wish I could network with some more girls as well. Just But it looks like
Doreen,
we're running out of time.
they will
Yeah.
all add you on LinkedIn. They are already calling you Doreen Didi. Didi means an elder sister. So
Yeah.
we don't have to. We are trying to set the culture of not calling anybody ma'am or sir. So we are saying you either call Didi or you call us by our name. And because they want to give slight more respect, so they want to call us Didi, or there are different languages. It is called Akka or Chechi or whatever. So
Yeah.
each picks their word and they refer to us like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah. And thank you, Darshana, especially for this, for bringing this amazing team together and having this
Yeah.
kind of sessions. And especially, I don't know, this lady is so strong, and I just hats off to you. So thank you, Darshana. Before I conclude this session, there is this one quote, and I will just then I will just say bye to everyone. This is we must believe in ourselves, or no one else will believe in us. We must match our aspirations with the competence, courage, and determination to succeed. This is a quote by Rosalind Yallow. And this is really a wonderful quote. And I think everybody who needs to achieve something, they really need to match their aspirations with what they have in themselves and probably work towards.